Right. And
But
why
we'll
is
get
that?
into that.
Oh, well, yeah. Sure.
Look, ever controversial.
We'll get into that in a minute. Okay, so before we start, I just want to talk a little bit about what's coming up on the channel over the next few days or few weeks. First of all, we are here tonight to talk all things title, so I look forward to getting into that in a second. We had our DC top picks a little while ago. That was very, very cool. That was last Monday, I think, where we looked at all of the different scenes that we particularly enjoy in the DC universe. So please do go check that one out. If you want to watch a movie review about the recent Turtle movie, please check out my video on YouTube, and Luke's got one out as well, so please do check that out. We did two This Is My's. They were great fun earlier last week. I've got two big name comic book collectors coming up in the next few weeks, so please do check out those when they come out. We did this week's comics on Sunday. A review of all the week's books, so some stunning reads there, some dog shit as well, but some absolute superb reads. So well worth checking that out if you like comic books. Absolutely recommend The Sacrificers from Rick. So what's his surname? Is it Reminder? Can't remember. But check out Sacrificers because it's superb. Yeah. So recommend that one. Thursday, I'm doing This Is My with reviews with Rich. So that will be all things action figures, movies, collectibles, and all that kind of stuff. So please do, again, go check that out. Rich is a superb guy. So looking forward to seeing what he brings to show. And as ever, shout out to all of the UK comic book community, everybody that's doing live shows such as This Week in Metropolis. We're on a break at the moment, but we've got Nerd Herd on Wednesdays. They are reviewing one of my favourite books, Do a Powerbomb, this week, so please do try and read that and go and catch up with that. I've got the Killer Comic Show on a Thursday and Grey Man on a Saturday. We've also got GP going live tomorrow night. We'll talk about that a little bit later on with a book that's going to be interesting, Water Boobies. So that should be interesting. Okay, before we get into it, let's see who we've got in the chat. We've got 14 people watching, so let's see who we've got. We've got StreamYard. Thank you for joining.
Quack, dude.
Oh, I mean, okay. Are you going to continue with this level of enthusiasm all night, James? Is that what we've got?
Totally.
Oh, turtley. Turtley. Yeah, that's good.
Turtley.
Yeah, okay.
Long night.
We've got Comic Lad Simon. Nice to see you, my friend. We've got John. Always nice. Oh, we're lean, green, and we're mean. Absolutely. We've got Phil from Phil's Nerdiverse. Our reach chaps not able to watch along live, but Mutant Mayhem was superb. It absolutely was, Phil. I know we chatted about it yesterday. Superb. And Phil, who joined us last night, Sacrifices was great. Heartbreaking, but great. It was an absolute devastating book, to be honest. We've got my pal Deadman. Always nice to see you, my friend. Looking forward to a history lesson. And we've got Sean. Thank you for joining, Sean. And we've got Ephron all the way from the US of A. Thank you for watching, bud. Okay, tons to get through tonight, so I'm going to crack on. We are here to talk all things Turtle, and we'll start off with, as ever, a little bit of history. Luke, I'm just going to briefly mention that, the Turtles first came out in 1984, but you were resident, I was going to say nerd, but resident Turtle expert, shall we say. Tell a little about the history of the Turtles, please.
So I'll keep it brief because if not, I'll be here all day. So yeah, Turtles, like you said, was made in 1984, and it was kind of like a little ongoing joke between the two guys, Kevin and Peter. They started drawing these sketches of Turtles doing martial arts and thought it was funny. And so just back and forth over the course of a number of nights, they came up with this idea of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And with a small loan from, I believe, Kevin's uncle, they were able to publish this book. Now, obviously, they didn't know that it was going to be the phenomenon that it is today. In fact, they didn't even think they were going to do a second issue. They thought it was going to be a complete one and done. So for anybody who hasn't read that first issue, spoiler alert, the whole story is there. Like, they kill the Shredder, it's done, right?
Oh, really? Yeah.
And so it all becomes how it moves on after that, because then it did become this juggernaut success. And before you knew it as well, like, they started writing the first couple of issues, but then everything else took off. Turtle Mania was here with toy lines and the animated show and everything else. So when you actually read volume 1 of the comics, it spans a decade. Like, it goes on for a really long time, and you only get up to like issue 12. It's quite crazy. So that's a brief history of the Turtles and how they came to be.
Superb. Thank you very much, Luke. And Luke, again, sorry, just to kind of jump in there, they've talked quite publicly about the kind of the influence for the Turtles in terms of which characters kind of influence the designs. Do you just want to briefly touch on that forward?
Yeah, so there is without a doubt that they borrow from a whole number of different things. And this is primarily due to it almost being like a parody type comic. You know, it was never copyright. It was a parody. You know, it was, here we have these ninjas. We're a big fan of Daredevil, for example. Hence the red bandanas. Hence the mutagen ooze being the same ooze that blinded Matt Murdock and then fell down. You know, this is all in that first issue when they're telling the story. You actually see the Matt Murdock story play out, albeit that he's not named.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And then, of course, Splinter is a take on Stick.
Yeah.
Which again is another great little piece of Turtle history. But yeah, when I shameless plug, when I interviewed Kevin, he actually mentioned that
Jesus, hang on, how many minutes in are we? Less than 8 minutes, and I prattled on for 8 of those. Do you know what I mean?
I have that on bingo.
I am it is interviewing Kevin, the amount of times that I have is without doubt the biggest achievement I've had on YouTube. So I'm gonna carry on bringing it up whenever I can. But yeah, he basically explained to me that they took things from like the X-Men, of how they could be shunned by society, and it was the same for the Turtles, but they wanted the family element of the Fantastic Four. You know, they really did dive deep into all of that Marvel stuff. So much so, actually, interesting fact, that they weren't necessarily going to call Donatello. They were going to call him Kirby.
Oh, really?
After Jack Kirby.
Yeah. Wow, that would have been interesting.
You know, they've still been mentioning years down the line, will we ever get a character called Kirby?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. Maybe we will one day.
Yeah. Interesting. So just jumping into the chat, Chris, nice of you to join, bud. Thank you very much. The hand become the foot too, which was a bit of plagiarism. I love. Yeah. We've got some great YouTube videos that go deep into the comparisons between the Turtles and other IPs. Absolutely fuzzy. And Cowabunga Comics. Thank you for joining, my friend. So thank you very much for that, Luke. That was great, mate. James, you've not read the first issue, is that right?
No, I've never read a single Ninja Turtles comic.
Spoiled it for you now, haven't I?
I'd be all right.
I feel so bad.
I'm a recent convert to this franchise, and by recent I mean in the last week. I've never really cared for Turtles growing up. Like, I watched a bit of the 2003 one. I was very familiar with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I watched a bit of that because that was just what was on the one kids channel at the time. But I never really connected with it until like the newest movie really is what made it click for me, and I've been going back and watching a lot of the stuff since then. So I'll get into the comics now.
Yeah. I mean, GP, I know you've read this one, and it's worth saying, isn't it, that this issue is very different to the Turtles we kind of recognize now, I think. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, say, when you grew up through the 80s, you more or less introduced the Turtles through the TV show, the cartoon. And then they did the run on Archie comics. And that was actually my first comic I ever bought was an Archie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Bought it myself from a shop and everything, first American comic. Don't have it anymore. But yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, and it's a great read. It's a much darker kind of storyline. Because I like you've just said, James, I remember the original cartoon, that was my Turtles, very colourful, very kind of kiddyish, very, very childlike. This is a bit different. And I remember in the schoolyard, everybody was turtle mad because it was the hyper kind of period of Turtle Mania, really. And you had the cartoon, and then there was a role-playing game came out, which I bought. And it was like night and day to the cartoon. It was totally different. And I loved it. It was much, much more gritty and adult than I think I was used to.
I will say, sorry, Pete.
That's right.
Back in the 80s when Turtle Mania was hitting, you couldn't move for turtle stuff.
Oh, it was crazy.
I don't know. Did you ever get the little coins out the newspaper?
Yeah, I got the coin. I had the full set, threw them away not so long ago, actually. But yeah,
can I just say hello to Cowbunga Comics? Because that's my old mate. That's my old mate Michael, who used to be on YouTube. He used to be part of the UK comic book community.
Oh, so fantastic! Well, nice to see you,
in the chat.
Yeah, great to see you, my friend. I just wanted to touch on this briefly to say, a lot of us have met Kevin. Particularly James, you're looking very fresh-faced there, my friend. You're looking...
Yeah, it's creepy. I think that literally is the beginning of me growing a beard. Like, that was when the week I didn't shave. I did volunteer work. Just by sheer coincidence, I'd sent you this picture this morning, and then on my Facebook memories, it came up that this was 7 years ago today. So, I was volunteering for Dublin Comic Con, and afterwards, like most of the guests stayed back to meet the volunteers, and I got a Ninja Turtles thing signed by Kevin Eastman. I don't think he liked me because I asked him to write Turtle Power, and he was like, "Turtle Power? You don't want like a cowabunga or something like that?" I was like, "No, Turtle Power," because it's sort of like an in joke with me and my maybe.
Wasn't there? And again, I'm going to come to Luke as our title expert. Isn't there something about some of the phrasing used in the cartoon that he wasn't particularly keen on? Is that right?
Yeah. So at certain periods of time, they've not liked leaning so heavily on the cartoon when it's the comic book stuff that they're really interested in and invested in. I think he's become a lot more relaxed about it as the years have gone on. Like now he's still making a lot of money from it. Not as much as Peter Laird did, but that's another story. But yeah, either way, it's the same goes for like characters like Bebop and Rocksteady. They were made for that cartoon. They are nothing to do with those comics. They didn't come into the comics until much later down the line. And again, for that same reason, it's again Krang. People think that Krang is an Utrom, and the show actually says that he isn't, albeit that he looks very similar. But again, that's all stuff we can get into later.
So James, you've obviously had the pleasure of meeting him. Obviously, I've met him, as has Ben and Rob and a few other people when we met him in accordance with the law of Simon, where we met him via video link, and he said hello to us, so that was lovely. Luke, I thought I would beat you to it, but you know what I mean? I shouldn't have doubted you in terms of you being able to get it in straight away. But obviously, Luke, you've met and interviewed Kevin and the animated cast on a number of occasions. So, I mean, all of those videos are there on your YouTube channel for people to go and check out. And as you said earlier, an incredible privilege, really, to have that one-on-one time with Kevin.
Have you met in person, Luke?
Yeah, I've been very lucky to meet him. I think I've met him 2 or 3 times now, and I've had some nice like sketches and artwork drawn up by him.
Awesome. Yeah, it was one thing at the convention. Another reason I think he did like me is because he did this for everybody else. But at the convention, he'd draw a little turtle head. And he didn't do it for me. So.
Yeah, so he was the first time I met him, the very first time that I met him, he was doing that very thing, and he was asking the person, because this was the greatest thing about him, is that he gave everyone time. He let everyone talk, and meant the queues were really long, but it was worth it when you got your turn. But he would say, "Who's your favorite turtle?" And he'd draw that turtle, and so each of those heads would be different based on which turtle it was.
That's cool.
But when I got up there, he said, "Who's your favorite turtle?" And I said, "Well, actually, my favorite character is Splinter." And he was like, "Do you know what? I'll do that one for you." And so he drew me this Splinter sketch, which I think I posted on Instagram not that long ago. But yeah, it's my pride and joy. The only downside is it's inside a book, so you don't really get to enjoy it as much.
Yeah,
as it was
that would annoy me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I sold my my autograph a couple of years ago because I didn't care for turtles, and I regret it now. Because there you go.
You haven't got a head sketch, James, have you not?
I never had a head sketch to begin with, but I've sold the autograph.
I mean, I've got 2.
I'll get another one.
I mean?
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah.
See, but Peter, you've one-upped me there as well, because I don't have a Peter Laird signature. And I would really love to. I would love to have it. I've actually got a selection of comics just waiting for them both to arrive at the UK, but I don't know if we're going to get them both.
Peter Laird doesn't do a lot now in terms of tours and stuff, does he? I mean, Kevin, you can get, I think he goes all over the place, bless him, but you don't get much for Peter. Anyway, listen, guys, we've got 21 people watching. Thank you very much, everybody. Please do hit that like and subscribe for everybody's channel. James T, Keegan, GP, Venom, and Hydra Collectibles, all doing fantastic content, so please make sure you check them out. As Luke mentioned, this kind of kicked off Turtle Mania. This comic book went mental. They then kind of got the toy license. And these figures were crazy. We'll talk about these in the toy section in a little bit, but this was kind of the first iteration of the action figures. The action figures spilled on to this ongoing franchise, which has gone on and on and on for years and years, with hundreds of different kind of storylines, iterations, flavors of Turtle as you would. And as I think it was Cowbunga Comics mentioned earlier, he loves how there's so many different iterations throughout the years. Absolutely, there's a Turtle for everyone, I think, in terms of your particular taste and style. It's built into computer games, which James T is going to touch on in a little while. And one of my earliest memories, because I'm a little bit older than you guys, one of my earliest memories is going around my mate's house who had a Nintendo and playing the Turtle game. Yeah. Which was infuriatingly hard.
Can't get past level 4.
Do you know what? I honestly don't know if it was just because I was younger and not as skilled. Or
no, they just made games different.
Just ridiculously hard.
Are really hard. Was that Turtles in Time, Pete?
No, it was before that. I think it was the very first Turtles. It's this one with this cover.
Yeah.
And I remember it having like an underwater bit where every time just dead. Anyway, I can't remember. It was very, very good. It then spilled into live action movies. Absolutely love that they've done these 2 posters for the new movie. I think that is superb marketing. Love it. So we had the earliest live action movie, and now we've got the latest live action movie, and we're going to again touch on both of those as the show goes on. Chaps, first kind of question for you, and Luke, I'm not accepting Splinter in this round. Out of the 4 Turtles, the 4 original Turtles, I want to know who your favourite is. And I'm going to kick it off and say, I don't know why, but Donatello has always been my favourite Turtle. I'm more drawn to the kind of the intelligent, kind of tech-savvy one, I guess. And I love his bow staff. I love that kind of weapon.
I guess.
Well, yeah, fuck you, Keegan. Donatello is my favourite. James, who's yours?
I think if you picked certain like iteration, I would pick a different character every one. But like overall, I like Donnie quite a lot. I'm just drawn to how kind of upbeat he is, and he's the kind of jokester of the group, and like particularly the new version where like if you just look at him, he's just smiling most of the time. Like even when in the background, like I think it's really endearing. So yeah, I like him quite a lot.
Very cool.
And nunchucks, cool. It's cool.
Nunchucks are cool. Yeah. Hydra collectibles, Luke.
You're going to hate me for it because I'm going to cheat here. So for me, because it was all around the same time when I was growing up, I had the toys, the cartoon, and then the movie. And so I had a different favorite dependent. So my favorite toy was always Donatello because he was so different. He was actually brown in color as opposed to the greens. And I don't know why, but I was drawn to that. I thought that was really cool. But then with the cartoon, I was always Leonardo. My name's Luke. It begins with an L. He's blue, and my favorite color was blue. And it was just the typical boy thing of wanting to lead the troops. But then the film hit me, and I
swear to God, Luke, if you're going to pick every friggin' turtle,
this is what I'm saying. But then I loved Raphael, and the thing is that I believe that everyone goes through a period of their life where they appreciate the other turtle. I think we all span that. At some point in our lives, we go through every version of the turtle.
So who's your favourite turtle?
Oddly enough, Michelangelo wasn't even on the list, was he? But no, nowadays, Raphael. He's got nice anger issues.
Yeah, he has.
I can relate.
Psychopath. GP, how about yourself? Who's your favourite?
Oh, it's always been Michelangelo. Always been my favourite. He was just so fun to watch and read. Happy go lucky.
He's more of the fun
until you get to the last Ronin, anyway.
He takes a turn in that one, doesn't he? Yeah, he takes a bit of a turn.
But I think you tend to go the turtle that best represents you in your personality.
Yeah, but like I was saying, I think that changes over the years. I think.
Yeah, I was surprised mine's not Raphael, to be fair, because I'm a moody bastard. It's always been Michelangelo.
Okay, let's see what the chat have got to say. Off my shelves, Chris is saying the 2012 series was fantastic. Absolutely. Yeah. We've got Andy. Hi, folks. Sorry I missed the start. Has Luke mentioned the interviews yet? Andy, straight up
90 seconds or something, was it?
Yeah, 90 seconds into the show.
He also said shameless plug. So just
I regret nothing.
Cowabunga Comics. I personally feel like the last Ronin of Mutant Mayhem is bringing back Turtle Mania. I absolutely agree, mate. I think the last Ronin, you're right, was so kind of a spike in interest, didn't we? And I really do hope Mutant Mania really reignites it, because it's nice to see the Turtles back in people's minds, I think. Deadman, Luke, who was the instigator getting them called heroes instead of ninjas in the UK? It was because ninjas is regarded as too violent of a name, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was mums.
Yeah.
Mums didn't like it, and so that's why it took such a shift in that second movie, where they don't even use their weapons.
They don't use their weapons in the cartoon either, don't they? Like, they just
well,
kick
so,
people.
so what the Foot Clan in the cartoon are actually robots, but you only get told that much later on, and they start exploding and stuff in later episodes. But that's the only way they're able to use their weapons, because for some reason a sentient robot is okay to kill.
Also, is there like a version of like any iteration that actually like uses their weapons to like slice and stab? And
the Mirage comics.
Okay,
you're in for a shock.
And they do it for people, like actual human people.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to say any more about it, because I know you haven't read them.
And James, I'll just add this: they'd rather have a beer than a pizza.
Yeah.
I dig it.
Pizza doesn't. Yeah.
I mean, they go hand in hand, though,
you know? Pardon me. Chris is saying his favorite is Donatello, Comic Lad Simon, Mikey always, mate. Cowabunga, Raphael, but early for me it was Mikey. Yeah. The action figures were insanely hard to get, and the world would sell out in minutes. I'm going to touch on that in a little bit, Von Hood, because you're absolutely right, and I've got a story about that one, mate. Fuzzy, you can't answer. I totally agree with Hydra. Don't say that, mate. Don't say that. Every time, Luke, every time. And Ofcom, basically Mary Whitehouse waving her hand.
Yeah, Mary Whitehouse.
Now, this is interesting. So obviously you had the Fab Four, the original four male turtles, and then later on in one of the series were introduced to Venus, I believe her name is. That correct?
Yeah.
Venus?
Yeah.
Who's a female turtle who wasn't particularly well received, and I don't think Peter Laird really wanted her involved either. She got bumped up, but she's actually come back into the comics more recently. I haven't read the storyline, but I think her arms and legs have been chopped off, so is she part robot now or something? You know, the images I was looking at shows kind of an amputee. But aside from her, we then get this introduction of Jennica, who's a character I don't know anything about, really. So one of you, Luke or JP, spill the beans on Jennica briefly.
I dropped off a TMNT about issue 70, so it was just before Jennica come into it, so I would be able to tell you much about it.
Okay. Luke, do you know much about it?
Yeah, so first of all, just before I touch on Jennica, the whole Venus thing, that was actually one of the deciding factors for both men to go their separate ways with the franchise. They just fell out about it, amongst other things. I would pick Jennica every time over Venus personally, and I think it's because the IDW story does it so well, because Jennica didn't just spring out of nowhere. So again, mild spoilers, you can kind of see it in this image. Jennica is a human character that came out some 50 odd issues before this event, before she became a turtle. And she was part of the Foot Clan, who basically turned sides and would work as like an informant against the Shredder and the Foot Clan in order to help the turtles. And as you can see here, she is mortally wounded. She's about to die, and Leonardo gives her a blood transfusion, very similar to the Hulk and She-Hulk. And I loved it. I really thought that was a great idea. Now, I will say, unfortunately, after that storyline had come to wraps and they carried on, they have put a lot of focus on those IDW comics on other mutant characters and not so much the four turtles. And I think that's a shame. I love the introduction of Jennica, as does my daughter. She's a big fan. I would love a Jennica action figure. We haven't had that yet. No. But yeah, they're putting all this focus on the other mutants, and I really want it to get back to the four turtles.
Yeah. So, my ignorance, because I am an uncultured slob, Jennica, is that an artist's name? Because the turtles traditionally named after artists.
Not to my knowledge, no.
No, I don't think so.
I'm surprised
Again, I think it's because she was a character that already existed. Yeah. I feel like she was only turned into a turtle after they had already established her for X number of years.
Right. Okay. Got you.
Yeah, if you type Jenica into Google, this character comes up right away. So I assume it's not.
Interesting character, and I love the introduction of a female turtle. I think that's a real progressive good step, and even more so when you say she's actually a good character. You know,
loving she's in a band too, so she's got a lot of like Spider-Gwen crossover. You know,
I like that's not just let's give one of the guys a girlfriend kind of thing. You know, like that seems to be what the Venus character is, but it's nice to.
Interesting stuff. Okay, Luke, you can get your kind of your Splinter fix out, I'm sure, in a minute. We've talked about favorite turtles. I want to know about your favorite other supporting character. So the Turtle franchise has got hundreds of interesting characters, mutants, as Luke said, all kinds of odd and weird kind of characters. So who's your favorite character outside of the 4 turtles? We'll start with Luke on this one.
Should I say Splinter or should I pick someone else?
Go Splinter. Tell her about Splinter.
I like Splinter, but more so, I really do like the change that the animated show made, where they made him Hamato Yoshi, and that he transformed with the mutagen to be more rat-like, as opposed to him being a pet rat. Right? So I know we've always ended up with those two different sides to the story, and to me that always made a lot more
Luke,
sense.
sorry to interrupt you, because it's ages since I read it. In the original comic, was he just a pet rat, or was he?
He was just a pet rat with heightened intelligence that studied the art of ninjutsu from his master. So he would do these little actions in his cage,
like in the movie.
Like in the movie,
absurd.
Which to me, it's I much prefer that he was the martial artist who then became, and then it's more personal as well, because he's and this is what I'll get to about the latest film, and so I won't mention it too much there, but it's important that he has that connection with Shredder. And that's something that I think is lacking in that film, but we'll get
that we know of so far. I guess we don't know the full story, do we?
I have theories about what might happen in the sequel.
Full white full of them.
So Master Splinter is your favorite, Lucas, because I know you've talked about Master Splinter lots of times. I know he's your favorite. GP, how about yourself?
It's a bit hard, really. Through different iterations, I say I take the Luke route in the cartoon would have been Bebop and Rocksteady. In the film, Casey Jones. I'd go Casey Jones all round.
Yeah, Casey's very, very cool, isn't he? Very cool. How about you, James?
I have a limited knowledge of a lot of these characters. Like a lot of them I got introduced to in the newest movie. So like in that one, Mondo Gecko, I quite liked. I thought it was a fun performance and everything. But Shredder is such a cool design for a villain. I think the backstory is quite cool. Intimidating. Like he's almost like a Darth Vader kind of. If you get him right, like he can be so intimidating and scary. And I think he's quite a cool villain.
Good stuff. Good stuff. We've got a few comments. So Casey Jones is mentioned a lot. Casey would have been my pick. I have to say, I love that character, and I just love the design of him. I think he looks phenomenal. So very cool. Okay, we've done this on a few shows, guys. Looking at the good old Tmnt in terms of the value of the franchise, so the number that people have placed on this franchise. What kind of numbers do you think we're talking? We'll come to.
Sorry, Pig.
No, can still come to GP.
It's got to be about $1 billion, like over the years.
$1 billion.
Not a lot of money, man. Like for something this big.
Do you think?
Okay.
Yeah.
Billion. James.
Yeah.
I'd say like 15 to 20 billion in that kind of ballpark. I would think.
Oh.
Luke.
I honestly have no idea. I just know it's a substantial amount. I wouldn't even know where to begin. I couldn't even put a price on it. I do know that Peter Laird sold it to Viacom and Nickelodeon for 60 million. But it's got to be worth so much more than that because they've done so much with it since then.
Yeah. So we've got a few suggestions here. We've got Deadman at 9 billion. We've got Fuzzy at 45 billies. Cowbunga Comics at 25 billion. I can tell you it comes in at around about $15 billion. I mean, that's still a substantial amount of money.
40 years of toys and video games and TV shows. And movies,
it is the toys though. Like take this latest movie. It, in comparison to other films, it didn't cost as much to make, but they're making their money on those toys, and they've managed to keep those prices down low too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you can see there the merchandise sales 13 billion.
13.2. So yeah, it's 95% of the total.
Fuzzy, I don't know what you're referring to. I've never heard of Twitter. Do you mean
X?
Do you mean X? Is it friggin' X? What a load of shit. So yeah, so 15 billion. If I can tell you, it came above Toy Story, which was a bit of a surprise to me. I don't know why it was a surprise. I thought those Disney properties would be more, but yeah, 15 billion. I think it's not to be sneezed at. Okay, guys. Anything you just want to mention about the history of the Turtles before we move on and look at some of the media appearances? No? Good stuff. Okay. So looking at media, we're going to look at movies. And I want to start off with this, which was the original cartoon back in the day, which gave we coloured headbands. And as someone's pointed out over here, we had Hero Turtles rather than Ninja Turtles. I was probably just at the right age when this came out, and this went mental. Friggin' insane. Now, so I was watching this live, as it were, when it was kind of being pushed out weekly. You guys familiar with this cartoon? Have you watched much of it?
Oh yes, I rewatch it constantly with my own kids now. Yeah,
I mean, it still stands up as a good cartoon, and that theme tune.
I disagree. I strongly disagree. I Fuzzy mentioned earlier that they put the first season up on YouTube, so I kind of went through the first episode of each of the shows last week, and I just don't think it holds up. A lot of what you're saying, Pete, I think is nostalgia. There's I know it's an 80s kids Saturday morning cartoon or whatever, but there's just shit in it that annoys me. Like it cuts and Shredder's just watching what happened on a TV. It's like, where's the TV? Where's the camera? Like, what's, it's just nonsense and boring.
No, I do agree with James in that respect, because there's a lot more mistakes that I've noticed as an adult now. Like, so for example, the Turtles will have the wrong voice, or it will be the wrong turtle
or the wrong
holding
color,
a certain weapon or something. And you do notice it a lot more as an adult, but my kids don't. And again, I think that's what it's the audience that is going towards. We obviously had the 2002, 2003 version, which was a more darker, more in line with the comics. And that came because the audience was growing up. Like, they kind of followed the audience with it. So yes, it hasn't aged perfectly, but it is coming back. They announced at San Diego Comic-Con they are airing it back on TV.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Dr. Von Hoot agrees with you, Jimbo. I think he's giving you a new name here, like this. Jimbo. I mean, I love the fact we're discussing, the Turtles cartoon from the 80s, saying, there's no film camera noticeable. It's a cartoon, man. Do you know what I mean? You just
but other shit like that, like other cartoons, I don't have a thing like that. That bothers me. Why? So it's not me being prejudiced. It's just a problem with
prejudiced.
Yeah.
That was just 80s cartoons, James. It's just something you got used to.
Well,
James is trying to apply logic to Turtles cartoons. He's been
because if you watch like the X-Men the animated series or the Spider-Man animated series, they hold up today, and I don't think this one does.
Yeah. Okay, fair. You're entitled to your own opinion, James. It's wrong, but you're right. I mean, I remember just the hype of this. To be fair, if I'm being fair to James, I've not gone back and rewatched it for probably 20 years. But then I don't think I want to, because I don't want it breaking my childhood. Do you know what I mean? I'm quite happy to have it in my little brain there.
Well, you'd have been like 20 when that came out, though, wouldn't you?
Fuck you. No, I wasn't. How dare you? How dare you? What a bell end, honestly. Yeah. Do you know what? I can't remember how old I was.
When was it out? 87?
87, yeah.
Yeah, I was 5.
I was 2.
Yeah,
I was 5. I was prime subject for this.
10 years old. I mean, I remember just the hype of the theme tune kicking in and just getting so friggin' excited. Cowabunga, at the same time, you have to look at the show for what it was. Although it didn't age as well as some others, it was designated for children. Yeah, absolutely, mate.
Very kiddie. Like, I feel like all the other ones, I think you can, as an adult, enjoy and appreciate, but that one is just, it's too kiddie.
Wow, God.
We have to stop Andy with these.
Wow, Andy.
It's going to be a very long night.
Yeah. James, when stuff like Teletubbies came out after, you can't complain.
You have fucking IQ of a Teletubby, Simon. Just not me with that.
Dead Man was 30. Wow. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that was harsh, James.
Brutal. Brutal.
So I had all these different cartoons, which I mean were very cool. I don't remember I didn't watch some of the later ones, like Rise of the Turtles. I don't think I've ever watched any of them.
Oh.
Any of those stand out to anybody?
Yeah, the 2003 one, like I said, is the one I kind of watched as a kid, and it is a bit darker. And I thought I'd only seen like a little bit of it, but in the last week went back. I watched the first episode. I was like, oh, I've seen this, and I jumped to a random episode. Oh, I've seen this too. So I think I did watch quite a bit of it. Really great theme song, and like the do 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 do, you know, and that motif that comes out throughout all of it. I think the animation is fantastic. So I really love that one. But even like the 2012 one, I think has the best story. Not a fan of the animation, but like the storytelling in it was quite good. I thought.
Yeah, I don't like that animation, I have to say.
Yeah, it's I don't think CG 3D animation works really in television outside of like Star Wars. And then Rise of the Ninja Turtles is so stylish, like some of the best animation I've seen like recently. I think it's
not seen any of that
gorgeous.
One. Yeah. How about you, GP? Any of these jump out at you?
No, I've never watched any of them apart from the original. But like you said, that Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What the fuck's going on with Donatello down at the bottom there?
Yeah,
his head looks weird.
He's got binoculars or goggles or whatever.
Oh, it just looks too weird.
It works in the show, I think.
Yeah.
I'll leave it in the show.
Thank you, Adam. Dr. Von Hoot's just saying that Turtles didn't come out until 1990. Okay, so I would have been 13-ish. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Luke,
show, Peter.
Never too old to watch cartoons, James. No, I still watch them now. So,
don't we all?
Yeah. Luke, any of these jump out for you, friend?
Yeah, so I've actually watched all of these. Now, I didn't watch them all when they were released. I've watched them as time has gone on, and I've just thought, right, I'll start this one. I get what everyone's saying about the Nickelodeon animation style, but you do get used to it. And there's some really fun stories in there, primarily with the Rat King, who is a fantastic character, even in the old comics. So I do still recommend that one. As for Rise, it put me off for ages, but I've actually started watching it, and like James says, and I mean started watching it. I started watching it this week.
Yeah,
I'm hooked. Like it's my least favorite of the design. I don't like the way the turtles are.
That's fair. Yeah,
but
it's out there.
It's still really good, really entertaining,
hilarious. I think like the writing was really sharp, and it's just gorgeous to look at.
Okay. Yeah, Cowbunga Comics is saying that he's not a fan and tried watching it a few times. Andy, last one, troops. Why did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles burn all their bank statements? Because they don't want to.
I like that one.
I mean, it's probably your best work, Andy.
You went out on a high there.
Yeah. And then we get the live action movies. Now again, I have to be honest. Not a movie I've gone back and watched for Christ, I can't even remember when I watched it. But I remember the excitement of this coming out and seeing this. I don't think I saw it live. I think we got a bootleg DVD, video or something, and watched it. And just loving it. Absolutely loving it. So I haven't watched it for a long time, but I remember absolutely adoring it back in the day. And me and my mate Alan rushed out and bought the tape, the music tape. We put our pocket money together and bought the tape. And again, incredible soundtrack. So, who's seen this one? I'm presuming Luke's bound to have seen it. James has seen it. We'll start with Luke. Luke, what did you make of this?
This film is perfect in every way. All right, and we'll get to the comic books and the translation of it, because this is literally taken from issue number 1, the Leonardo micro series, and then issues 10 and 11 pretty much sums up the whole of this movie. I'm working on a video at the moment doing a comparison with it all. I've set up the camera to do that, so that will be coming out in the next few weeks. But going back and looking and seeing where they actually lifted all that stuff from, it's superb. It happens all out of order. None of it is where it's meant to be, but they literally touch on all those important points. This is the movie that I watched the most as a kid. I think this is the movie that I've watched the most my entire, like, out of all of movies that I've ever seen. I even put it on this week with my own children. It is a superb film, and those Jim Henson suits. My God, please just give me these Jim Henson suits, and then Emma Stone playing April O'Neil, and I'll be in heaven.
I mean, the suits do stand up, and I think you've showed some images on your channel, Luke, of one of the suits kind of degraded and things like that. But back in the day, they looked phenomenal.
Oh,
JP, how about yourself, mate?
Yeah, absolutely. It's films. It's dark. It's gritty. Like Luke said, it's straight from the comics. Best Ninja Turtle films out there. This one.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I actually
James,
rewatched it last year, and for me, it still holds.
See, I'm going to probably watch it after we're finished this, to be honest. Now, James, you've watched these for the first time. Is that right? Today?
So I had seen this one. I must have been 5 or something. So I know I'd seen it. Couldn't remember a single thing from it. So I watched this again today. So it felt like the first time watching it. It's of its time, I think. The suits are impeccable, like really just impressive. I think some really amazing stunt work in and choreography. Shredder is quite well portrayed as well. There's some of it hasn't aged quite well. I think there's a few, particularly some of the jokes in it, like with Casey. But Casey's like a fun character in the movie, and I think it benefits from the best April O'Neil in the live action movies, I think, as well. And just how it doesn't feel like it's for kids. Like it's so grimy and everybody's smoking and like crime is everywhere. Like it's really kind of feels kind of gritty.
It's more in line with those comic books.
What year did this come out?
1990.
So again, I don't know this, but obviously we had Batman 89 the year before then with that dark take on Gotham City. Were they trying to
heavily influenced? Yeah. They wanted to tap into that. But also, interesting fact, this was directed by the man who made the Aha music video. You know,
all right, really?
Drawings and the sketches.
Really?
Yeah, same guy.
Yeah.
Another fun fact: Sam Rockwell's in this.
Yes, I was shocked actually to see him.
Just jumping into the chat, guys. Fuzzy, I lived next to a USA Air Force base. I don't know that, Fuzzy. As a kid, and saw the OG months before it was released in the UK.
Oh, wow.
Very cool. I'm sure I don't know how, but I'm sure me and my mate Alan watched this on video before it came out in the cinema. I don't know how, but that seems to stick in my mind.
Maybe it came out in America.
Was he being a non-human biological?
Earlier.
Robin Williams, who was a big fan of the franchise, provided Judith Hoag with information regarding her character through his comic book collection. Oh, I didn't know that.
Wow.
Why did I not know Robin Williams was a comic book collector? He's big favourite of mine. I love him. The two were co-starring Cadillac Man. Yeah, very cool. A very cool Cadillac Man. Unpopular opinion, Judith Hoag was great as April, but I actually preferred Paige. Ooh, interesting.
I think she's milk toast. Just kind of bland.
She's what? Milk toast.
Milk toast.
What you're saying words, but I don't know what you mean.
It's a word. Google it. Look it up in the dictionary. Milk toast.
Milk, is that some kind of down with the kids youth thing? It's as bad as milk.
No, I'm pretty sure that goes back to like, early.
Andy, find the definition for us, please.
Yeah, Andy, that's your next job, mate. Milk.
It's not like milk and toast. It's not like those two words combined. It's like there's a Q in there somewhere, I think.
What? I mean, you're just talking bollocks now.
It's a fucking word. Sorry,
Andy, get on that one for us, mate. Education, milk toast. Yeah, 1990 was a great year. The first web page was created, and The Simpsons debuted on Fox. And we got Home Alone movie. Yeah, very good. The BBFC cut it by 1.5 minutes. Didn't know that either. Dead Man, that's my favourite music video. Yeah. Cowabunga Comics. Kevin Eastman was also in the background too in the 1990 movie. Oh, didn't know that. Von Hoot is coming out with all the facts here. Part 2 was cut by 34 seconds. Thank you.
More.
Von Hoot. The turtle actors all play other characters in the movie too. Oh, very cool.
And like Corey Feldman is like voices one of them, and
Donatello. Donatello. Yeah.
Oh, is he?
But Splinter is voiced by Elmo.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Again, I didn't know that. Lots of good facts here, guys. Okay, so I think we'll all agree that was a very good movie. James thinks it's of its time, fair enough. But hang on.
There we go.
News.
Now, see, MILQUE.
Milk toast, North American noun, timid or feeble person. Okay. What's that got to do with your comment?
Just as lost.
Yeah, when you said the movie's milk toast, what do you?
No, she was milk toast.
She was milk toast.
That's
Yeah.
just
Okay.
Just kind of like
scribblings of a
bland,
madman.
timid, like like milk toast.
Every day is a school day.
Learn something new.
We've talked about the first movie, and then we get the rest of the live action movies. Now, I don't intend to go through all of these in great detail. Andy's just saying he's just Googled milky toast. It's not recommended, certainly not for work. Don't Google that at work. Yeah. So, what to say about these movies? James, you've watched them today. Most of them today.
Yeah. Except not
Have
the
you?
Michael Bay ones because I've seen them already. But I watched 1, 2, 3, and the 2007 one all today.
Yeah.
So I ain't picked the 2000. Sorry, I haven't watched the 2007 one yet. So out of all of those, then James, tell us which one's your favorite.
I think the first one is objectively like the best movie. 2, I feel there's like Splinter. It's weird. Like Splinter's like a bit goofy in it. There's like bits where like there's a fight scene and like the leader of the enemies will be folded his arms and not doing anything for no reason and shit. I just feel like all of them are so annoying in it. Like they're playing around in April's apartment. I'm just like, fucking kick them out. Like they're so annoying. Like they're on cocaine or something. I honestly, I think out of them all, and then the 2007 one is it's just a bit too dark. Like it takes itself too seriously. But it's well animated and kind of ahead of its time, in terms of like franchise movies doing a 3D animated film. I really loved the third one. I had a really good time with it. I thought it was fun. I like the villain in it. The suits feel like they've been downgraded a little bit. Like you can kind of see the seam where the helmet comes on and the mouths don't move quite as like in sync with the dialogue. But I just thought it was certainly compared to the second one. I think it's first one, then down, and then back up. I think so. I like the third one, and the setting is cool.
I mean, that's interesting because most people don't like the third one. Luke, what do you think of the third one?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the third one personally. I think the stylistic choices, like the turtles in those outfits, it's superb. Like nowadays, it's iconic. You kind of look back and go, "Oh yeah, great." But as a film, it's probably the weakest out of all of them there. Secret of the Ooze could have been so much more. Like, for example, like we don't ever find out what the Secret of the Ooze actually is. There is a script kicking around online of the original story. And the science professor from that movie was actually meant to reveal that he was an Utrom. So there was going to be a scene where he would lift up his shirt in a bathroom and you'd see an alien head there.
All right. Okay.
But obviously, for whatever reasons, it all got cut and chopped up. And then there was the whole thing about the mums not liking the violence, or all different things got taken out of this movie. I will say, though, I love the design of Toka and Raza, the other two mutants. And I know a lot of people wish that we got Bebop and Rocksteady, but Toka and Raza are still great character designs. I don't like that they're infants, that they're babies.
They're babies!
But they look fantastic. And I do highly recommend the NECA figures for them.
Yeah,
they're superb.
Very cool.
Why give us like at the very end of the movie Super Shredder? Yeah, and then he just fucking knocks a pillar and drags him, like he doesn't do anything. Stupid, like.
Okay, GP, tell us what you think of the Michael Bay movies.
Michael Bay, in it. To be fair, the second film I didn't mind at all. The first one was a bit fucking too Michael Bay-ish. But the second one I wasn't mad at. But I'll go back to 2007 TMNT.
Yeah, I've not seen that.
That's absolutely brilliant. And the director's come out and said it's supposed to be a direct sequel to the original.
It's a standalone sequel. At the very end, you see like
there's all like tie-ins
from the other movies.
But I think Kevin Eastman said no, it's not, and then the director said, yeah, it is. But
yeah,
potato.
I just feel like because in it, like Raph and Leo are fighting for most of the movie, and I feel like the turtles work better when they're all gelling. I don't like when there's like drama, but I'm sure there's great stories in the comics of that. But I think on screen, that magic is really when they're all together and all having fun and fighting, Yeah.
Just jumping into the chat here. Let's have a look. Dr. Von Hoot is saying Super Shredder was played by Kevin Nash. Didn't know
Nice.
that. Fuzzy, the Bay movies get unnecessary hate. I am not a fan of Michael Bay's Transformers because I love that franchise, the original. But I have to say I enjoyed the Turtle movies.
Second
and
one's
I don't
great
know.
fun.
Yeah, I don't know if that's
the
because
second one
I'm
over the
not.
first one.
I don't know if that's because I'm not as invested in the franchise. Do you know what I mean? So I went in with a little bit more relaxed kind of view on it. But I thought the first one was fun, and I thought the second one was really good. I went to see these with my son, and he loved both of them. So I agree with Fuzzy. I think they get a lot of hate, but I think they are what they are. Would you like to see a third? Would you like to see another Michael Bay continuation of those stories?
Maybe 5 years ago, but not now.
Not
But
now.
also,
Yeah.
like I don't know if you've ever heard about like the treatment of the actors that played the turtles, where
No.
they were like it was billed to them, like it was sold to them because it didn't pay much. Like, oh, you're gonna be like Andy Serkis and Gollum. We're gonna like have you out in the front lines promoting it and shit. They weren't allowed to do any promotion when they were filming. Other crew members, like all the rest of the crew, would be picked up first because in their contracts they didn't have to be paid to stay longer, so they would like leave, bringing them back to the hotel to the very end. So they were like, after a 14-hour day, had to wait 3 hours to get back to the hotel. They weren't like given lunches, like they weren't paid. Their lunches weren't paid for. Like they got screwed. Yeah, they were treated horrifically. Like and Andrew Richardson.
He's the one who
he's one of the
did
turtles. He
Raphael.
did. Yeah, he did an interview and he talked about it. And
he played Hawk in the Titans TV show.
I'm not sure. I know he's Aquaman in Smallville anyway.
Yes, he played Aquaman.
I think he did. Did he do Jack Reacher or something? He was
Jack
on
Reacher,
Amazon,
on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Cowabunga Comics is just saying here that unfortunately one of the worst things is the casting of Stephen Amell as Casey Jones.
I'm going to be a detective.
Yeah. I mean, bless him. He was at that time. He was kind of the hot name, wasn't he? Because Arrow was doing so well on TV. But bless him, he's not done a lot since, other than shouting at people on airplanes, apparently. So yeah, he's not doing well. Okay, I'm going to move on, guys, because we've got lots to get through, and we're taking our time. Any last comments on those movies before we go? Luke, I know you're a huge Turtles fan. I'll ask you this one question, not including the first Turtles movie. Out of those ones, which one do you enjoy most?
2006, 2007. And I like it because of the fight between Leonardo and Raphael.
Okay. You like that?
To me, that is the best scene.
Yeah.
Like that,
the actual fight is awesome.
The actual fight is awesome, but also the heart and the feeling behind it all, and then the immediate regret. All of it. That's one. These films are so emotional. They really do hit you. And again, like I say, with Splinter being my favorite character, that's very emotional with being the father figure a lot of the time. So yeah, I've gone from kind of being the sibling relationship with brothers and sisters to them being the father figure. So again, Turtles just keeps on coming throughout your life. Like it's always been a part.
Thank you very much, Cowabunga Comics. Really do appreciate you joining. I think you're right, Luke. I think the thing that I enjoy about this franchise is that kind of family feel between the four brothers. And I think, again, sorry to disagree with you, James, I think you're right, Luke. I quite like that dynamic of them not always getting on, and the fact that, Leo's personality pisses off Raphael, that kind of dynamic. I like that kind of stuff.
One of the things that's interesting as well is the rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Raphael is actually more the leader in that group. Whereas in all the others, every other iteration, it's always Leonardo. And obviously Raphael being the hothead, he doesn't want to obey those orders. So he doesn't want to do it. So yeah, it's a very fun and interesting dynamic, I think.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about the brother fighting thing. When you've got brothers,
No,
I've got too many. And all we ever did was fight. Like every day. So it's just natural. It's a natural thing.
Yeah, Fuzzy's just saying Stephen Amell came out saying he disagreed with the actor strike. Yeah, I saw that. He's not done himself any favours there, Fuzzy, is he? But I think his career's tanked after, because he finished Arrow and then he, I can't remember the full story now, but he was really abusive to some people on an airplane. Basically,
I didn't hear that.
Kind of thing. Yeah.
He's supposed to be on a new show called Heel.
That's why he's he came out and said about the actor strike because he's not allowed to do any promotion for it. So that's what's kind of triggered him a bit, which is understandable. But like, don't keep that to yourself. Like,
Von Hoot VHS Turtles movie came out in UK in 91, whereas the US was out in 1990. Yeah, I think that's probably it, mate.
I think we all
have to
had
say,
a dodgy copy.
I was going to say, back in the day, dodgy copies were kind of the the in thing of every movie, you know. Anyway, guys, we're kind of nowhere near the halfway point, but we're kind of getting through.
It's all right.
I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got.
I might have to get my charger in a minute.
Plenty of time. Plenty of time. Can I just encourage everybody to please go and check out the guys' channels, James T. Keegan, JP Venom, and Hydro Collectibles. Make sure you hit that like button and make sure you hit the subscribe button for all of the channels because they do excellent content. Now,
here we go.
This Mutant Mayhem. I think it's fair to say, well, personally, I might be wrong, but I think Luke's of the same page as me. When I first saw the animation for this in the first trailer, I wasn't exactly ecstatic. I kind of thought, oh my lord, this looks very juvenile, and I wasn't keen on the animation. And then I went to see the movie, and I friggin' love it. I think this was probably one of my best movies of the last 6 months or so. I said on my review of it, and I stand by it, I enjoyed this more than Across the Spider-Verse, personally. And I know people will go mental and say, oh, but actually I thought this was more, I came out happy and smiling at this movie. I thought the casting was perfect. I thought the pace was perfect. I didn't mind, because I'm not invested in the franchise, I didn't mind the changes to the origins and stuff. That kind of worked for me. Overall, I thought it was an absolutely banging movie. And we're going to touch in the next few slides, guys, on the villains and on Splinter's story. But first off, can you just tell us what you thought of the movie? We'll start with you, James. Just an overall where it sits for you.
I absolutely loved it. I thought it was phenomenal, and yeah, like going into this, not a huge fan of Turtles, and I was absolutely blown away. Like it just finally clicked for me. It's so much fun. Like I just had a smile on my face the entire way through it, and like that would peak at certain points where I was like, oh my god, what I'm watching is so good. Just really great action. The performances are phenomenal. I think the main four Turtles all gel so well. Their dynamics are so good, and they just they're just perfect together. Just like so stylish, so colorful, and just nice to look at. And I was surprised at some of the choices in it, and like it pleasantly. And I think it was an absolute blast from start to finish. And I would say it's close, but I would probably put this above Across the Spider-Verse. And like
that was the internet kicking off, James, because you said Across the Spider-Verse. We lost you.
Broke the internet.
Did I get? The top three movies of the year. I feel like it will be by the end. 10 out of 10. Anyway.
Yeah, and sorry, I think for me it's a 10 out of 10. I can't think of anything I didn't enjoy in it, and I think I was expecting because the voices were so childlike. I thought the action would be dumbed down to childlike action. But there are some great fight scenes in this, and there's a montage bit where they're kind of all blending into each other.
Oh, that's my favorite scene, the no diggity.
Yeah, amazing.
And like the choice of music for a lot of scenes. But like it's great how it manages to be child friendly, but never feel kiddie at any point. Like it feels like it's made for long-term fans and new fans. Yeah.
Luke, how about yourself?
Yeah, so I absolutely loved it, same as you guys. So over the years, obviously, I've watched so many different versions of the Turtles and read so many different comic books of the Turtles that you just have to accept that changes are going to happen. So despite certain changes, I can still say hand on heart that this is a 10 out of 10 movie because the changes that they made actually paid off. So for me, that was a defining point of my scoring. Sorry. Defining point of my scoring of 10 out of 10. It's not perfect, it certainly isn't, but it's still, like you say, the best movie that I've seen this year, and that includes the Mario Brothers and Across the Spider-Verse. I really do like as well that it almost looks claymation with their style, and I really like that.
They said like a notebook. It's supposed to be like sketches, like that's the kind of.
So I wasn't sure at one point because I went with my wife and my son and daughter, and my wife said it's kind of like the Wallace and Gromit kind of claymation stuff. And then in the next scene, I thought, it's not. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It was really interesting. I don't know what this is I'm doing here. It was a really interesting kind of mix. I think I thought it was very interesting. So score for you, Luke? Did you say 10 out of 10?
10 out of 10 based on what it is, what we got, because there are certain things that I don't necessarily agree with, but they did work for the film itself. Therefore, there's nothing wrong with the film. You know, that's the rules that they set. That's where it went. So
it's just a new interpretation, you know. So
yeah, that's absolutely fair.
Yeah.
Fuzzy's just saying here it's been cast to absolute perfection. Fuzzy, you are bang on, mate. I can't think of any character or voice that fell out of place. It was all, for me, top notch. Adam, this animated gem hits the bullseyes with its youthful audience, a breath of fresh air in the animation landscape. This flick boasts a unique and invigorating art style that sets it apart from the pack. I mean, Adam, you should be writing for Empire or something.
I was just about to say that was that rolled so well. Like that was so well written. It's like a blurb on an IGN review. Like,
couldn't agree more, mate. It's spot on. Fuzzy thinks, James, you've got an AI bot there hitting you. You're right. The stylized animation made it impossible to look away, and the jokes are pretty good for all ages. Looking forward to the sequel.
Again, bacon, egg, and cheese. Bacon, egg, and cheese.
But again, you know, I thought the humor was great. I really did think it was just a joy.
Every 2 minutes I was laughing.
Nice for you to join. Thank you very much, Comic Journey. Appreciate you jumping in, mate. Adam, it's a 9 for you. Good stuff. Comic Journey, the animation looks so weird. It does in stills, but what I would say is I thought when the movie started and it all rolls, it just blended in beautifully. We've touched on voice cast. The villains in this are absolutely spot on. I mean, so funny. Great characters, great voice acting again. Sorry, GP, I know you haven't seen it, mate, so I do apologize.
No, it's fine. I know what happens.
Yeah. Were there any that stood out for you, James, in this cast?
Mondo Gecko was hilarious. I really loved. It's Paul Rudd, is it? I think playing him. Yeah, he was fun. Like, hey, dudes, you know, that was cool. And it's like we're vibing, bro, and. Yeah, that was great fun. Bebop and Rocksteady aren't in it much, but I think when they're on screen, John Cena and
I did find that interesting, because a lot's been made about them being in it, but they weren't in it a great deal, and they played different characters to what I expected. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think every mutant character is fantastic, like as well.
Yeah.
They're all just entertaining. Yeah.
Any jump out for you, Luke?
So I found that Superfly was very interesting, and I mentioned this in both of my latest videos. He was quite clearly meant to be Baxter Stockman, and for whatever reason, they doubled back on that and they changed their mind. Even to the point with the actor that they had cast, you think, why wouldn't you use him, John Esposito?
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever reason, despite the changes, he was still a really cool villain.
I thought it was
I think he really worked for this film.
Yeah.
I like how they throw in little, like, it's because it's Ice Cube voicing him.
Yeah,
they throw in like some NWA, like, you know, 4 a.m, police at my door. You know, like it's it's cool, like references. But
and I thought the story, I thought the storyline, in terms of, if you boil it down, it's kind of the two different families with different dads having different takes on the human problem, as it were. You know, Splinter's hide out the way, Superfly is let's kill everybody. And I loved that dynamic. You know, it would have been very easy for them to have a traditional battle at the end, but actually for the bad guys to kind of say, hang on a minute, we're just kind of going along with you because you kind of were father figure.
Really unexpected.
I thought it was really,
like, because they're all Turtles villains, really, aren't they? It's a whole catalog roster of the Rogues Gallery, and the fact that they all turn was really unexpected.
So Seth Rogen voices Bebop.
So the thing about Baxter Stockman, I just learned, was apparently it's too close to the film.
Yeah, so that's what I mentioned in my video.
Yeah, it's about different companies.
I see what you mean.
Right.
Yeah, The Fly.
Interesting. Do we have a slide for, you know, is it Cynthia Utrom?
No,
that character.
No.
So now Utrom is like tied to Kang.
Yeah.
So do you think she becomes Kang, or she's a robot that Kang?
She looks like the android, doesn't she?
Yeah, but she has glasses.
They purposely picked the glasses, and she had a yellow sweater shirt and then a purple shirt. They picked those colors to symbolize Krang. They really did. But then this is also the other interesting thing, right? Because again, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't seen it, the end credits where she says, "Bring me the shredder," like get me the shredder. That means the shredder is a henchman. He's not even the big bad. And this is what I was referring to earlier, where he has to be part of the Turtle story. So for me, the only way that I can see that carrying on, if this is going to be a continuous franchise with multiple films or even a spin-off TV show, Shredder needs to become the big bad to the Turtles. And I think the only way he does that is to kill Splinter.
Yeah. Have that death of the father kind of thing.
It's effectively, you guys learned how to do your fighting style by watching television. Now you're up against a real jiu-jitsu martial artist. And he will literally wipe the floor with them. And they'll return home. Splinter will be knocking on death's door. And it's going to be a really heavy emotional moment. I don't think I'm ready for it. But it needs to happen in order for it to progress. Because, and again, like, so what's going to happen with Bebop and Rocksteady? Will they join the Shredder? Because at the moment, they all seem like a family.
I would imagine. I would imagine. I don't think Bebop and Rocksteady will stay. I think they'll gravitate to Shredder's team. And I guess you've mentioned Splinter there, and I just want to say how absolutely perfect I thought Jackie Chan was in this role. I get that it's not Splinter of old, but I loved it. And the bit where he kind of cuts loose, I loved. His portrayal as a father really, really hit me. Some of the stuff he was doing, he just wanted to protect his kids. I thought it was a beautiful performance.
I did love how they never call him Master Splinter; they call him Dad.
Yeah,
I thought that was a really nice connection. The bit where he has all of their weapons, and he's going ham was great. And there's just so many great lines. Like the whole when he's explaining their backstory, and he's like, "I was an old rash; they were young turtles." If you think about it, it couldn't make any more sense. It's a great like little nod. You know?
I love it when he says he's good because they've interrupted him. He's going to do the long version now. Fuzzy's just saying, do any of you guys have the figures of the team? Not yet. Luke's got a few, but we'll talk about toys in a bit. But I know you've got a few, Luke, haven't you? Jackie Chan is perfect in everything ever. Yeah, absolutely. Now, Luke is a massive Splinter fan. What did you think of this?
Yeah, so again, this goes back to what I was saying before. This is a 10 out of 10 for me because of what they established and where it leads to and how it plays out. So I am fine that they made these changes in this film for Splinter. However, if you really held me up to it and you put a gun to my head and said, find a fault with this film, I would drop it down to a 9.8 because to me, Splinter should be a martial artist, right? That's the only thing that I would add to it. I'm fine with him dating. I'm fine with and again, there's this whole thing about, is scumbag male or female, and I couldn't care less, right? Whatever you want to do there, that's fine. But please just, I would just wish that he was the martial artist, because for him just learning it from TV like them, again, it goes back to this whole Shredder dynamic, which is why I believe that's the only way it will work moving forward.
It's interesting because when I was watching it, I have to be honest, because obviously I've known you a while, Luke, and I know your love for Splinter. I was watching it and I was thinking, for Luke watching this must be a bit like me watching the Bay Transformers movies and seeing what they did to Prime. I think it's a more extreme version in Transformers, but it's a change of the character's, origin and everything.
So do you know what it is as well, right? It's going to lead to a lot of shocked fans because like what we're saying to James, if he goes back and reads these comic books, he's in for a shock, right? Well, kids won't even have to go very far back to be in with a shock about who Splinter is and what he's capable of. So again, it's just a different version. And again, I'm okay with that. The film laid its ground and they played it out, and it's still a 10 out of 10 film.
Yeah.
But yeah, gun to my head, I wish that he was a martial artist.
Yeah. Now, moving on then. This bit threw me a little bit. And I don't know why, because I don't know if this has been in the law before, but at the end of the movie, the kind of the demask, and they all go to school. And I don't know why, but has that happened before? Have they gone to school and everybody knows that turtles are kind of walking amongst one?
But I'm here for it.
Yeah. Me too. It just threw us. Do you know what I mean? I was kind of like, oh, right. Because I was thinking, well, how does this is going to be interesting playing out in the future.
Well, exactly. There's so much potential for that. Like one of them potentially getting a girlfriend, or like we'll see them deal with teen troubles. I think that's a really interesting place to put it. But yeah, I was curious as well, because to my knowledge, they hide in the sewers and you just don't know.
That's just totally put me off watching it.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I think it worked. I think the movie has
Yeah.
a beautiful, like, the
Yeah.
people gather together to help moment. Like, I think one of the best ever done.
Yeah, it does.
I thought that was really amazing. I felt really emotional.
It's
during
almost as good as Spider-Man with the city of New York helping him.
Yeah.
that. You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
Well,
Yeah. So okay, guys. Overall, I think we all agree that this is a stellar movie and we enjoyed it. So
I am just
very
before we move
pleased.
on the topic of like this, because I think they announced a sequel and there's going to be a 2D animated series to bridge like for 2 seasons. Shredder, I'm really excited the potential of that, and like visually, I'm thinking like Prowler, like make him really scary, make him really like intimidating. You know, I'm excited to see what the soundtrack for him, like with the score, his like theme is going to be.
That Prowler
really
score
excited
is
to see.
amazing. I love that.
Exactly. Yeah, so I hope they take inspiration there.
Yeah, there's a few people saying they weren't a fan of kind of the removal of the masks and going to school. It's interesting. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I agree, James. I think that they should really turn up the fear factor for Shredder. I can't wait. I want more. You know, I really enjoyed it. Okay, guys, in terms of cinema, in terms of all the different movies we've seen, looking at the good old metric of Rotten Tomatoes, where do you think the movies lie? What do you think the most popular is, and what do you think the worst is?
Are we counting Mutant Mayhem? Because it's obviously the top
including
one.
Mutant Mayhem.
I feel like this is unfair because Rotten Tomatoes didn't exist when that 90s movie came out.
Yeah.
So how do they quantify?
Sometimes life isn't fair. Luke, you know.
No, but I think that would have a low score for that reason. But I don't know when did that.
So I think the people can still, so the movie is still uploaded onto their server, and people can still input the scores. I presume. I don't know how it works.
But also, it's an aggregate. So, like Rotten Tomatoes, it's like there was positive reviews that were made back then that would have been taken into account for
included. Yeah. What do you think, James?
Mutant Mayhem at the top. Bottom, I'd say 3, but I don't think it should be. But I would imagine it's 3.
Okay, Luke.
Yeah. I believe Mutant Mayhem's at the top, albeit that I think the 1990s movie should be. I think it's probably just below. And you know, we don't know if that's going to stay at the top either. Like, it's still in cinemas now, but I think it is at the top at the moment. As for the lowest one, like I personally would put the Michael Bay ones down there. I don't think they're terrible, but I would put them down there. But it still made a lot of money, and for some kids, that's their version of Turtles. So yeah, I'm leaning towards maybe that third movie as well, like James is saying.
Okay.
Because the others had a revival, right? So there was a gap. So I feel like that third one is where it slumped.
Yeah. When did Mutant Mayhem come out? Last week, was it?
A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Last Monday. 1 week.
I would say I think the 1990s is still going to be top, and number 3 at the bottom.
Not a lot of love for number 3. So here we go. Mutant Mayhem is at the top there with 96% of reviewers and 92% from the general public. Second is the original movie, the 1990 movie. But look at those scores for all of them. It is quite low. And then you're right, absolutely bang on. Mutant Turtles number 3. It's got 19% critic score, 33% audience score.
It shouldn't be there.
Is it not that bad, James?
Not to go back and keep dwelling on the old 90s movie, but it was also the most successful independent film because nobody wanted to touch it. Like literally, like all the other big companies weren't interested in going there. And like we've all said, it's become our life. Like we all remember it from childhood. So yeah, it made a phenomenal amount of money for the amount they spent.
Yeah, I think that original movie there is probably the most interesting for me. If you look at the critic score versus the audience score, it's massive. You know, it's half, isn't it? Which is interesting. So yeah, interesting stuff.
Oh, that dog shite.
What's this? I've never seen this before.
You've never lived. You've never lived, James Keegan. This is the coming out of their shells. This is the live touring stage musical show.
Oh wow!
Of the Turtles. I mean, look at those faces. That's friggin' nightmare fuel. That
to do Hamilton.
Oh, what?
Did you go to it?
Yeah. No, I didn't. No. I'll have to be honest. This totally passed me by. I didn't even know this was a thing until I started putting the slides together for this. But man, it looks rough. It's worth Googling on YouTube just to try and see some of it. But I guess back in the day, people loved this stuff. You know, I remember going to see Batman live and Marvel live and all that kind of stuff. Had I been aware of this, I hadn't been aware of this, I dare say I would have flocked to see it if it came up to Newcastle. You know, Anybody actually seen it?
No.
No?
I've seen clips of it. Yeah.
Not a one for me, I don't think. And James, we're over to you, my friend.
Yeah, there's a lot of Turtles games. Like I was pulling these slides together, I was like, wow. But yeah, Turtles is sort of a titan in the video game industry, but based on the kind of arcade games and everything. But it started back with the NES game. Peter, you said difficult and notoriously.
I think I might have been lying to you. I thought this was the game I've played, but the screenshots don't ring out for us, so I'm not sure. I'd be interested.
This was the first one. This is 1987, and then but the same year we had the original Turtles arcade game.
No. I've definitely played the arcade game.
I've played that one.
Yeah. So led to kind of a slew of the you know, it makes sense, isn't it? 4-player beat 'em up like Turtles, you know, perfectly matches that, and really massively successful. Led to plenty of sequels. Most popular being Turtles in Time.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
Which I played. I think there was like a one called Reshelled or something like that on the PS3, and I remember playing that. And there's like there's dinosaurs and pirates and shit. Like it's a lot of fun. But like all 13 like classic games were just rebundled I think a year or two ago for the Cowabunga collection, so you can still play them all now. So there's some ones from the Game Boy Advance and everything up there, and like the beat 'em ups are so like iconic to people that they even made like a new one. So just last year we got Shredder's Revenge, which is like a classic retro style Turtles game, which is I think a really cool thing to do, you know.
Very cool.
So now that I'm in a Turtles mood, I'm kind of tempted, you know, especially if it's a bit more modern, like in terms of level design. I might pick this one up and check it out. Looks cool, and there's online play and everything, so that's good. Outside of those, we got the 2003 series had a few adaptations, so they're all kind of 4-player beat 'em up games as well. Luke, I don't know, have you played any Turtles games at all?
So just that last one, the most recent one that you spoke about, I went over to my friend's house to play that on his games console just because it was Turtles. He literally phoned me up and said, I know you like Turtles, get your ass around here, I'll get your beers in. And we sat there all night playing through it. It was so cool. Ordered a pizza, drank beer. Like it was proper, it's like a kid's sleepover to play.
I
was gonna say, did his mum bring you some pizza?
He doesn't live with his mum, but still.
That's awesome. It'd be cool. I'd imagine someone will do eventually they'll do like an arcade cabinet of this, maybe. But so some 4-player beat 'em ups from the 2003 series. There was a TMNT, the 2007 movie got an adaptation. I played this at the time. Actually, I remember quite liking it. But the graphics like matched the movie quite well as well. And it was good fun. There's like you could throw like each other at enemies and stuff. It was good fun. They attempted to do it like a Smash Bros style game. Ubisoft did back in 2008. And there was rabbits were like playable in it, you know, like Raven rabbits.
Right.
Like from Rayman. It was a weird kind of crossover. I don't know why you would do that, but it's not very well liked. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows. So this is completely unrelated to the movie. This came out like in 2013, so before that movie. So they just nicked the name for it. But a bit more realistic graphics wise. I think it's the voice cast of the 2012 show. I like this as well. I thought this was a fun game. I remember playing it back then. So it's a good time. I always like when they kind of go more realistic for the graphics. Even though the cell shaded stuff I think ages a bit better. The Nickelodeon show got a couple of tie-ins. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and then Danger of the Ooze followed that, and there's a few screenshots of those. So a bit more cartoony. And then this one, so this is by Platinum Games, so Mutants in Manhattan. This is the most recent kind of big budget game. So do you remember that cell shaded Transformers game? Peter, you remember playing? Same team as that. I think the art style is gorgeous. I remember liking the the version of Shredder and Krang in it. I thought they were fun. Like the story was good, but it's a bit too busy. Like because when you're playing single player, there's 3 other turtles controlled by enemies. So if you go up to an enemy, they'll beat you to him and kill him first, or so it feels very. It would have been nice to just be able to turn them off and just play it solo, like with one turtle.
Yeah.
Because the combat system was quite good, but yeah, it's sort of got mixed reviews. So that's that. They've had a lot of crossover, and Turtles are mad for crossovers, like even in comics and everything. But yeah, throughout the video games, Injustice 2, they're playable. So I
didn't realize that. I love Injustice 2, but I didn't realize it.
So they take up one character slot, but you can change to which one you want. But yeah, it's cool. The intros, so they're talking to Superman or Batman or whoever you're playing against. And they all have cool finishers and stuff. For some reason, Shredder is playable in Modern Warfare 2.
Of course he is.
I seen that advertised. I thought that was nuts.
It's absolutely bizarre. I don't know why. I don't know what gameplay wise is unique about him. I assume he has a blades on his arms or something. But yeah, it's a very strange.
Saying that they've got the boys characters in there as well now.
Yeah, but they have powers. If you're playing as them, I could see why, but why Shredder? It doesn't make. And then there's a few Nickelodeon kind of crossover games. So there's Kart Racer 1 and All Star Brawl, which is again a Smash Bros. Style game.
Yeah.
And then this was announced just today. Literally, I put the slides together, sent them to Peter, and then I saw this. I was like, "Fuck!" And then Peter needed them.
That's gonna be cool.
Slip them in. So, they're not actually playable characters. So they're costumes that you can stick on other characters to make them look exactly like the Turtles. But I know. I don't know why it's not just give us
that game is bonkers though already.
Is this? Yeah, I haven't played.
Yeah, I've watched some gameplay for it. Looks absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, and then there's some sort of hub world, and you can style it.
Yeah,
Ninja Turtles hide out.
And you go around it and you're getting fought by people with cardboard boxes on their heads.
Strange.
Okay.
It's very strange.
I'm less excited about that one now, James, because I thought it was Turtles versus Street Fighter.
No. They're actually, I believe, Luke, correct me if I'm wrong, there is a Street Fighter's Turtles comic.
There's a comic out at the moment. I'm reading it.
There is a comic, and there is Playmates Toys have done a pack where you can buy a turtle and a Street Fighter figure. But they've done that for Stranger Things and stuff as well. They have some weird choices, but
yeah.
They do a Cobra Kai one as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then just looking to the future, so this was announced a few months ago that there's a God of War inspired Last Ronin game.
That'll be cool.
Peter, I'd imagine this might inspire you to get a new console. This will be the game, won't it?
Yeah, probably.
It irritates
us that. It irritates us that. But why they're not putting it out on Xbox?
It will be on Xbox.
Oh, it is on Xbox. I thought
this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've got an Xbox, so
be next gen.
Yeah.
So it'll be not the Xbox.
Yeah, next gen. It'll be the next Xbox. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Xbox Series X.
Yeah. Yeah. I've not read this comic, so I don't know if Luke does he use any gadgets, or it's Michelangelo, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah.
Spoilers.
I've tried so hard not to ruin this comic for you because I know you're desperate to read it.
James is ruined.
Yeah.
But yeah, he
that's Michelangelo. That's supposed to be a surprise.
He has a load of I wouldn't say gadgets, but it's a very
grappling.
It's a very tech world that he's fighting in.
Yeah.
So
he's got all of the original weapons plus extras, hasn't he? Really? So he's got bits and bobs.
But that sounds perfect for a game. So I'm really excited for this one to see it, just to see it. But I think it's going to be 2 or 3 years off. But very excited for it. And that's everything I think from the games.
Good stuff. I am looking forward to that one. That will be pretty cool, I think. Okay, looking at merchandise, I'm aware of time, guys, so we'll go through some of this, but it's worth saying that there is a whole shit ton of turtle-related figures that you can get. This is the original lineup. As I think it was Von Hoot mentioned at the start, these were an absolute swine to get a hold of when they first came out. You couldn't get the turtles anywhere. In fact, the only one I could get was the Foot Soldier. There was shelves and shelves of the Foot Soldier, but none of the other characters.
Do you know what? I'd love that now. Army building. I'd love that now to get a load of those Foot Soldiers.
Yeah.
I got all 4 turtles for Christmas one year. It was later on my dad would tell us that he had to stand outside of Toys R Us from 2 a.m.
Yeah,
just to get them.
horrendous.
I'd have told you that when I gave them to you. That was me. I had to stand out since 2 a.m.
Merry Christmas, son.
You little
That's
bastard.
it. I had Shredder as well.
Yeah.
But there's so many different variations of the figures. Those original ones hold a special place in my heart, I think. But there's this turtle style for every eventuality. Whatever flavor turtle you want, you can get a version of. Whether it's in the weird costumes, they've got, Western ones, space ones, everything you can possibly imagine. Luke has most of them, I think, in his Turtle Empire shelves. Fuzzy is just saying here that Undercover Donatello is still my favorite figure I've ever owned. Yeah, very, very interesting figure. We've got the new figures out, which Luke, I know, has picked up a few of. I quite like the design of these. I might be tempted to pick up a few, but there's a whole massive range of them. Favorite figure that you guys have seen or got? We'll start with you, James. Is there a figure that you're particularly after or you want?
I'm in the market now to pick up some sort of Turtles thing for the collection. But yeah, NECA do good ones, but they only do the movie ones, don't they? Like the original.
So NECA do a whole host of different versions. They do all the different movie versions. They do the cartoon versions. Everything you can imagine, I think.
Okay. The comic versions, yeah.
I'll look into like a comic version or the new movie, probably. Those designs I like.
The NECA figures are very, very good as well. I've got the full original movie set of those, and I know, Luke, you've got a lot of those ones as well, haven't you?
I pretty much have every NECA turtle that they've brought out.
Yeah, I mean, there are some stunning figures. Well worth picking up, James, if you can get some. I love these kind of monster versions of turtles. I know Fuzzy Dunlop's got a few of these. I didn't get them to start with, but when I've seen Fuzzy's imagery of them, I am tempted. I have to say, I do.
They do look good.
I do like the designs.
I like Universal Monsters. Now I like Turtles.
It's a win-win, really.
My problem is I want a diorama to put them all into, and then that's going to be a big diorama because now the turtles are like repeating different characters, like same turtle, different character. I don't know where they're going to stop with it. Like they just keep going.
Just keep going. Yeah, just keep going. There's a whole host of Last Ronin figures. I've got the kind of the original one. I think some of you guys have got them as well. But they're, again, incredibly detailed, really, really nice, solid figures for the price point. You know, you is it 30 quidish or something? I can't remember how much I paid for
like that, yeah. 30, 40.
Yeah, I don't think they're a bad price for the actual figure themselves. But the detailing on them is absolutely stunning. If 1/6 scales your bag,
they look good.
These are the only 1/6 scale figures that are out. This is Bebop and Rocksteady from the Michael Bay movies. And this is bag 30. These are insanely hard to get a hold of, and they are very, very pricey now. But they're beautiful figures, absolutely beautiful figures. I'm very tempted by these. I'm very sad that they didn't do turtle versions as well, because I'd love a 1/6 scale turtle.
It's mad that there's not.
Yeah, you can get a 1/4 scale, but that doesn't necessarily fit with everything else. You know what I mean? It's mad that they did the two with these and didn't continue on into the kind of the 1/6 figures, to be honest, which is interesting.
I just think it's mad that like even across third party companies, there's no like 1/6 Ninja Turtles set.
I know, it's strange. But saying that, those 1/4 scale figures are phenomenal. You've got those ones, Luke, haven't you?
I do. They are hands down the best figures I've ever, like best interpretations. It's like they shrunk down those Jim Henson suits.
Yeah.
Like they are so good. I will say though, please, if you're going to buy them, get stands for them. Mine were fine for the first year, and then one by one they've fallen off the shelf. And broke, and I've had to actually fix them properly. Like I found a whole tutorial online, but I had to fix them all because their legs broke off.
Oh god!
Yeah.
Some stunning toys, and like I say, you can get any kind of toy you want. In terms of action figures, anyone wants to mention on action figures before we move on?
NECA is king. Like Playmates will always hold a place in my heart. But NECA is king. And I know Super 7 have made their versions as well, which is like the old Playmates toys, but updated with articulation and everything else. To me, it's a nice middle ground, and I see the market for it, but I don't need it. It's either the Playmates because of the nostalgia, and I'll buy those, or I have my originals, or it's these new interpretations given to us by NECA. Because again, those old Playmates toys weren't representations of the original series, that animated series. But NECA have gone back and done it, and they've done it superbly. They are so good.
I mean, much like some of you guys, I've got a fair collection of action figures, and I have to say, the NECA smaller scale turtles are some of the most detailed, nice figures I've got. In terms of articulation's pretty good, but in terms of the accessories you get with each one of them, you know, swap out bandanas, ninja stars, bits of pizza, you know, it's for the price point, the stunning. So I've picked up, I think the only one from the original movie that they've done that I haven't bought is April O'Neil and Casey Jones. I've got Shredder and all the rest of the two foot soldiers.
So that was my argument with myself when I bought Michelangelo. I was like, do I want to get the others? Oh, and then I'm gonna have to get Shredder and then April O'Neil and then Casey, and it's never gonna end. So I just had to stop at Mikey. I probably will end up buying.
But it will end if you just, because what I've done is I've limited myself to that original movie line.
Yeah.
So there's only 7 figures or something in total. I can't remember, but I guess the only ones if I wanted to complete the line, the only ones I need are April and Casey, and then that's movie done.
They brought the Toker and Razor out that look pretty good.
Yeah, but that's the second movie, so
I know, but then you might have to go to the second movie.
Maybe they'll do a Sam Rockwell, you know.
I bought Toker and Raza. That's them right there. I bought Toker and Raza, but that is as far into the second movie that I'm going. I bought those. I'm with Peter. I just went for the first movie, but I went for it. So I've got the accessory set that came with the little baby turtles. I went for the loot crate that came with the Danny figure, the young kid. I've got obviously like the Shredder, the foot soldiers. I went out and bought 10 foot soldiers just so that I had an army.
That was the other question. Where do you stop on foot soldiers? Because you need a few.
You just keep going.
You need one for each turtle, don't you?
So I bought 10 of them, but now I've got 13 or 14 because when they pop up online cheap enough, I'll just buy more. But my problem is that, well, I say problem. I like having diorama setups. So once the diorama is filled, then I stop. So, like, for example, I've got a diorama of the subway station where I've got a Raphael in disguise and the April figure, but then I've packed it out with foot soldiers. But now there's no room for more foot soldiers to go in there. So that's it. I know that's done.
You're done. You can stop there, Luke, until another one comes up on eBay, and then you have to buy it. I mean, in terms of other turtle merchandise, you can get whenever you want. That's James T. Keegan, his onesie there. You can pretty much pick up anything you want. Cookie jars. Actually, no, you're right. I'm doing See, I remember
that's me in the socks.
Yeah.
I remember pizzas that came out and they were apple pizzas.
Yeah, I remember those as well. Cookie jars, turtle chairs, anything. I mean, the marketing for turtles went.
If any of you have been into Primark lately, I sent Luke a picture of this the other day, but they have loads of turtles clothes, and I went in to get a pair of shorts. And just any pair of shorts, and I saw these, and I was about to go see the new movie, so I thought, I'll pick them up. And so it's Pizza Hut on one side.
Yeah.
There you go. And then it says Ninja Turtles on the
very cool.
The other side.
So I didn't mention it earlier, but that the musical thing that went around was sponsored by Pizza Hut. So they went into kind of
that must be
an agreement.
I thought it was a weird, like, I know it's pizza, but why license Pizza Hut?
Yeah, so Pizza Hut kind of promoted it and sponsored it and everything. Yeah. Okay, guys, we're getting near the end now. We've been talking toys. What do you think the most expensive turtle figure is, and how much do you think it's sold for?
We're talking about vintage, like in like an antique in box.
Yeah.
Oh God,
must be a playset, or
I think it's the Android Krang figure. They done a big Krang figure back in Playmates days. I reckon
the Technodrome, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but you can still buy I don't.
Yeah, but you can't get them complete.
That's got those giant Krang figures. I've never seen a Krang figure that size come up on eBay, and I watch. I'm out for one.
Yeah, I've never seen
a sealed original Splinter.
Sealed original Splinter. Yeah. Fuzzy saying Scratch the Cat. Fuzzy, according to the search I did, Scratch the Cat is second but you're right. He is very much up there. He's a one that is very sought after. The Answers are one that we talked almost about before. Undercover Raphael from 1994, sold recently for $3,000 or $3,000.
That's not terrible.
Yeah, apparently there were very, very few of them made.
So that's who outbid me.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, scratch the cat.
Yeah, so he's wearing like the typical
prisoner kind of outfit.
Yeah, looter's outfit, isn't he?
Yeah. Okay then. So that's the toy. What about the comic? If we'll go for a high grade comic, how much do you think that has gone for recently?
50,000.
Issue number 1, first print.
50 grand.
God.
I know that there's a 8.0 up for sale at the moment for 17 grand, and I wish I had the money.
I remember it didn't double over a month or something, like the top sold price. Like it went.
So do you know what?
It went from 20 to 40.
It got a massive spike because of The Last Ronin, because people didn't care this much for Turtles. Like you say, Turtle Mania is back, but it came back because of that Last Ronin. So again, like with the MCU stuff, spiking comics, Last Ronin did the same for Turtles.
Nice to see comics by comics instead of just whatever's on the screen, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely. So what were your guesstimates there for a high grade number 1?
50
25
25 80, and the answer is first print sold for $88,000.
Jesus,
I mean 88. That's putting you in kind of the price range of big books like X-Men 1.
What was the print one like? There was only 3,000.
Was it 3,000? I think. Or
yeah, it was low print one, wasn't it?
Yeah. So like, how many of those are 9/8? Like, still.
I mean, that's just massive. That's not a book I've obviously got, but I have to say, I don't know. I would fancy a copy. Nowhere near getting the first print, but I think they did 4, 5, 6 prints or something, didn't they?
So print 4 and 5 are different covers. I believe the third print is a slightly smaller book, so it's only the first and second that are in that oversize. I believe maybe the third is oversized as well. But I said this to you before, Peter. Like, I've had the opportunity to get a second and third print in the past, but I would always wish it was the first print.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't get past that.
I know. Deadman's asking. I don't know the answer to this. Was Casey Jones named after Casey Jones' TV series from the 50s? No idea, bud. No idea.
I do like though is that Casey Jones was created as a vigilante character who didn't have a tragic backstory. So like they were like, oh, all these vigilantes have this tragic. He just watched too much television.
Yeah. Dr. Von Hoot's asking if it was a 9.8. I'm not sure, mate. It just said in the text article I found that it was a high grade. I'm not sure if it was a 9.8. Worth pointing out, if you are in the market for this particular book, the first print has got the bright red kind of colouring, whereas the second print is a more pink version. Dr. Von Hoot is saying, fun fact, that's not a picture from the first print. No idea, mate. It's the picture that they've put on the article, so I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, worth looking at. I did see
I saw.
Yes.
Continue. 6.5 go for up for 400 quid.
Say that again, James. You broke up, mate. Say it again.
Sorry, I saw just today. Someone put up a 6.5 third print for 400 quid.
Third print.
Out of all of them, the third print was the most printed. Like obviously like the ones more recent have been done to death as well, but the third print is quite easy to get hold of for under $1,000.
Was it the same year?
It wasn't the same. They came much later.
Much later.
Yeah.
So
okay, guys. So in terms of the kind of the comics and sorry, Luke, were you in the middle of saying something?
No, I was only gonna point out that the first, second, and third prints all have the same cover, like we said. Then it went to alternate covers. So like the fourth and fifth prints are really nice if you can get hold of them. I'm lucky enough to have them. They're still decent covers, but they did come out much, much later. You're talking years later. And then for whatever reason, they've gone back to printing these ones. I know Loot Crate did one, etc. So these lot are out there, but they're the smaller format books. Like I say, these were proper oversized books back in the day.
I've got, I don't know if it's a Loot Crate or I don't know what reprint it is. It might be a Loot Crate, but it's a bizarre shape. The book, it's not your standard comic shape. It's wider. So I don't know if that's I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's weird. Anyway, and yeah, Fuzzy saying it's been homaged to death. Absolutely good.
Yeah.
Okay, in terms of comic books, then that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. What do you think the rarest turtle comic is? Do you think it's this one, or do you think there's something else?
The fact that you're asking, I assume that is something else.
I'm assuming it's someone else. Yeah.
There must be like a 1 in 1,000 Last Ronin or something, is it?
So it's this thing.
Yeah.
It's the Turtle Mania special gold cover. And apparently there were only, was it 10 copies made of the gold cover.
So Sad Lemon Comics basically homaged this. So they obviously paid for whatever printing amount that they had to in order to meet minimum requirements. And they done a similar cover, isn't all the exact same style, but with Jenica on the front for her appearance as the turtle. And again, they done the same where they basically destroyed all of those other issues and kept just 10, which they sold online. I didn't buy one, but a lot of people did. I just went for the standard like white version of it that was plentiful. But yeah, it's a nice book. But again, I wouldn't buy it just because of the rarity. For me, it's important what's inside the book. Like that first issue is key for a reason.
Absolutely. No, I agree, mate. I agree. Okay, chaps, moving on to some reads. Be interested to hear what you guys are going to recommend. I'm just going to quickly canter through a few things that I wanted to talk about. Obviously, we've mentioned on a number of occasions that original series, GP. I know you're reading that at the moment. This something you would recommend to people?
Absolutely. First 7 issues is absolutely brilliant. And if you pick up the collected version, here, it's self-contained. Even if you just read this, it's a self-contained story, and it's absolutely wild. It's absolutely brilliant done, gritty, dark, everything you like in your comics.
You want.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think definitely that's a one to go and pick up and read. I know, Luke, you've read it numerous times. I've read the first issue, but I haven't read the following few issues. So I think I'm going to probably pick up that book you've got, GP.
Yeah.
Pardon me.
Peter will hate it. He'll read it and go, "What is this?"
It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. Fuzzy's just saying he's got the Winnie the Pooh version of that cover. Yeah, I've seen a lot of these Pooh variants. There's some quite interesting ones. There's a rather nice Transformers one from San Diego. Anyway, James, this is the one I think me and you probably need to try and pick up, read, and then come back and do a bit of a review with the guys on. Talk about maybe we could do it. We could maybe do it for book club, Pete. That might be interesting.
Definitely, yeah. We've got a Turtles one coming up soon. So
yeah, Fuzzy, how much was it?
How much is that? That was 20. I want to say 25.
Okay,
around
the
that
size of it,
price
that's
point.
not bad at all. Yeah.
It's not for an oversized book.
It does come with the caveat, though, because we were discussing before the show. It's really hard to get volume 2 in that series.
It is.
So just know that when you go into it, because you might want to hold off for the compendium.
But is the complete? Is the 7 issues the kind of the complete first arc?
It is, and it includes the Raphael one shot where he first meets Casey Jones.
First introduction of Casey Jones.
Yeah. It's all in line.
Oh, it's important to know as well. It's important to know as well that if you're not a fan of black and white comics, because I know some people aren't, they did release them in color also.
They did,
and they do look amazing in color. You know, I like both. It almost makes me want to buy both.
I've just got the black and white one.
I'm a purist, but I would prefer to look at it in color. So I don't know.
I was just going to say, James, I think I'd rather a color version.
Yeah. It's very well colored. It is very well colored.
Okay. Few first issues and a few kind of ongoing series for you to pick up. There's a whole host of different Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series out there for you to read. That central one there, Turtles Adventures, is the first printed appearance, I believe, of Rocksteady and Bebop.
And Krang.
And Krang, yeah, I've got that, but I haven't sent it off yet. That's on my next list to go to CGC. So yeah, a whole host of ongoing series for you to read. We've then got this, which is The Last Ronin. Luke, do you want to just briefly take us through what The Last Ronin's all about?
Oh, are we doing spoilers or non-spoilers? Basically, there's
spoilers.
I'll do non-spoil.
I think we've already spoiled it today.
So
yeah, James spoiled it. Yeah.
Basically, we see our beloved characters die. It's quite traumatic if you're a fan of this franchise. But also you're intrigued to see how they die, like one by one. Each issue, you're wanting to see that bit of the backstory, because obviously the main story is going on, but you're getting a backstory showing how each of those turtles passed away. It really, really tugs at your heartstrings in that respect, but it is a phenomenal comic.
Does this
I guess...
take place in any specific canon, or is it like a what if kind of?
So this is carrying on. So basically, the way it went, this is how it was pitched: is that back in the day of the Mirage comics, Peter and Kevin basically wrote down an idea, just a very simple idea, saying how would this all end? Where would we take it to? And that idea being the Last Ronin. And because Michelangelo was the first turtle that Kevin actually drew when they were throwing the drawings backwards and forwards, to them it made sense that that's who it should be. Also, for us, he's the party dude. He was the young hip one. It makes it so much darker. You could say, oh, it was Leonardo being the leader, and you could say it was Raphael. This is very much like a Raphael story, you would imagine.
Does it play it as a mystery? Which one it is?
It doesn't really play it as a mystery. It's in the first issue, but it's... A lot of us didn't want to know. We wanted to go in blind. We wanted that reveal to come in the comic book form. One thing I will say, and I really need the answer for this. So if anyone already knows and I just missed it, please tell me. I don't know how they got the new mutagen for the way that it ends. In the prologue. Like where did that come from?
It's because April O'Neil and Casey Jones spent so much time around the turtles, their mutagen somehow passed on to them.
Yeah,
that's how it was explained. And then it went into her daughter.
Yeah.
So they could synthesize the mutagen.
So they synthesized it from her because it was still in the canister. It was still in the TCR.
Yeah, so they could make new turtles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's worth saying it's an interesting series. Really recommend people pick it up.
Definitely.
I have to be brutally honest. When I sat down to read this, I struggled with the first issue. It didn't necessarily blow me away, but then I persevered, and by the second issue, I was invested. Mm-hmm. And as Luke says, each issue, or as the story goes on, it takes you through the final moments, and I loved that kind of narrative. I do wish they'd taken a bit longer with some of them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I have to say, I know I've heard Luke talk about this before. I wasn't a massive fan of the get out clause at the end, if you know what I mean, which has allowed it to continue on into a new series. I think I kind of wanted this to be your Dark Knight, just end it, finish it.
Have you heard about the new series? Have you heard what they're now doing?
No, I've not read any of it.
So Kev, I don't think any of it is out. I might be wrong, but Kevin was saying at San Diego Comic-Con that they've got those new turtles now, and they're all named like different words for number one.
Yeah.
They look cool. I don't know if I'm gonna love it as much as I love our turtles, but apparently the old turtles still play a big role. Apparently they're
flashbacks or something,
flashbacks and stories and stuff like that. So they're not gone. They're still going to be around. So this is just to answer James's question. This is the continuation of the Mirage story.
Okay,
so there's no Jenica. There's no Jenica or anything else from the IDW stuff. Okay. There's no Venus or anything. This is the Mirage stuff coming across.
So there's a new book coming out called The Last Ronin, The Lost Years.
Yeah, I think that's out, isn't it?
So I think it's out in like singles, but there's a trade coming out. But you get to meet the new turtles and that. There's 2 girls, 2 boys.
See, with that title of The Lost Years, I expected it to be the filler gap between.
That's what I thought it was.
I think it's going to be more flashbacks.
I thought it was when Michelangelo was on his soul journey kind of thing.
Yeah, I think
anyway.
That. So.
Yeah, interesting series. James, give it a read, and then we'll do a review on JP's channel at some point. I think that would be interesting.
It's been meaning to for a while.
Yeah, I wanted to mention some of these just briefly because I think someone touched on it earlier. Turtles is literally crossing over with everything on the planet. I've read Turtles versus Street Fighter. It's all right. It's fun. I've read Turtles versus Turtles Stranger Things. That's really interesting. It's a bizarre kind of
very odd
mix.
Yeah,
it is bizarre, but it's an interesting thing. Not read the Power Rangers one, but that looks pretty cool. Do any of you guys read that one?
I haven't read that one yet. No,
I think that one looks pretty cool.
But they did do a crossover with the TV show as well.
Yeah.
With the Power Rangers live action show.
Power Rangers live action show, along with that turtle show,
Expectation
and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Didn't see that one. We've got Turtles with Savage Dragon, which makes sense. I love that cover for Turtles and Ghostbusters. I think that's tremendous. And then they've crossed over multiple times with Batman. I think was there an animated series or was there a movie?
It's good fun.
A movie.
Really good fun.
Yeah, I've not seen that one. So yeah, tons of turtle content if you're interested. Any of you guys got anything you want to recommend for reading?
Do you know what? I've never read the Archie comics, so I can't say about those. But the old Mirage comics, albeit 1 or 2 issues which really go weird and crazy, they're a great read. But then so is the IDW stuff. And I know I mentioned earlier that they read too much into other characters after issue 100, but that first 100 issues is superb. Like it does change the story. There's differences, but again, it works. And if you want to collect singles rather than trades, then Kevin Eastman done his own variant cover Bs all the way throughout the series, and some of them are tremendous. I just pick out my favorites every now and then, keep them in a box in case he ever comes to the UK. Very
cool. I've also read, I can't remember what issue it is, and I know Fuzzy's just picked it up, but John Lee, I'm a big fan of his writing. He did a single issue of Turtles, which is very cool. Got to sign it out Thought Bubble for us. And I think, Fuzzy, correct us if I'm wrong, did he send you a copy after the show we did last week or the week before? But yeah, tons of turtle content out there, and like the cartoons, really, there's a different flavor of turtle for absolutely everybody. So you can get. Oh, Fuzzy's just saying there, yeah. I've picked up the TMT Universe comics lately, and they've been great. John Lee sent me his issue signed. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So my story about that, Fuzzy, is I got him to sign mine at Thought Bubble. Can't remember if you've seen my video or not. And bless him, I love John. He signed it, and he signed it Cowabunga. He spelled Cowabunga wrong on the cover.
How did he spell it?
He spelled it with a K, I think, instead of a C. But
what a right.
That's all right. That's
the Cowabunga variant.
Yeah.
One of a kind.
Yeah.
One of a kind.
But yeah, bless him. It was super.
It's a made-up word, Peter. Like you can spell it.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, that's the end of our Turtle stream. We're just under 2 hours, which is fantastic. Tons of interesting stuff. Before we leave the peeps, is there anything we've missed? Anything anybody wants to talk about in terms of Turtles? Or are we done?
Turtles done wonders for pizza sales, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I want pizza
I got pizza before seeing it both times. I've seen the movie, the new one, twice, and I got pizza both times.
I want it right now.
Yeah.
Screw you, Fuzzy. Screw you.
There was a terrible live action series, but I don't know if anyone watched it or cares to talk. So bad.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, chaps. That's been really, really interesting. Appreciate Luke and JP sharing their turtle knowledge, for me and James, who are a little bit less educated in the land of turtles. Definitely a franchise I want to delve a bit more into. I'm going to go back and watch that first movie, I think, and I'm going to watch that animated movie because that seems to have been a good one.
Definitely
interested to read a bit more Turtles books and then perhaps come on and do your show, JP. That would be fun. Fuzzy, I still have TNT Bubble Bath. Are they the ones? Because I had loads of them. I think I had He-Man and stuff.
The heads.
The heads come off. Yeah.
See
if it's the same one's, Fuzzy. Couple of things coming up. Luke, first off, what's happening on your channel, mate?
Well, if people aren't sick of Turtles already, they certainly will be with my channel, because every video I seem to be putting out at the moment, despite my schedule, seems to be Turtles related, because it's hot at the moment, like we keep saying, Turtle Mania. So I've put out a few different videos recently to do with obviously the review for the movie and the action figure line. So please head on over and check those out. And I'm not sure what the actual scheduled video is because it just kept getting pushed back. But on Friday, there's another video and it's not Turtles related. So check that one out too.
I haven't watched your video from today yet, so I need to go. I'll do that when we're finished here. But looks fun. James T, what's this?
Yeah, so I did just to have a new video about who I think Venom is in the new Spider-Man game. I think there's a bit of a misdirect. And I kind of go over some of my theory and of who it is and some potential evidence that points towards it. Fuzzy mentioned earlier that he watched it. I just want to say thank you. Appreciate that. yeah, I had fun making it. So check it out.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I haven't seen that comment from Fuzzy. Where's that?
It was earlier on.
Okay, anyway, missed it. I've watched that one, James. It is a cool video, but I have to say, I want Eddie Brock to be Venom, man. Stop. I want people to stop screwing around. Just let it be Eddie. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see who it is in the long run. I'm looking forward to
You can
that.
pretend the hot toy is Eddie, Peter. When you get
That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do if they do it. Yeah.
What a boobies.
Water boobies.
What a boobies.
Who's just JP? JP.
Yeah.
Who's on the show tomorrow?
Me, you, and Simon.
So imagine if Simon doesn't show up. Simon, if you're watching now, that'd be a.
I mean, even if Simon does show up, do you know what I mean?
James, I'm gonna be having a nightmare now because it's such a Simon thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, not even answer you, just block you completely.
Yeah. So what's this? What's it other than water boobies, GP? What's this about?
Aliens, underwater, spaceships,
some espionage.
A war going on between the US and Japan on the brink of war. That's about
cracking. I'm looking for. So what time is this, GP, mate?
It's 8 o'clock tomorrow night.
8 o'clock tomorrow night. We'll be reviewing over on GP Venom's channel. Fathom issues 1 to 9. I've got to read that tonight and tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be a great show because even if the book is crap, we'll have fun.
We'll have a laugh. We'll have
Simon.
a laugh.
Yeah. So yeah, that should be interesting to know if anybody's read this in the comments. In what if it's good, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. Should be fun. Yeah. Now this is a proper book, GP. This is the kind of book that someone who reads comics picks. Who's picked this?
This is your pick. It's only because James tricked us into spinning the wheel again last time.
Right.
It's your fault, James.
Yeah.
What? Why? What?
You got us to spin the wheel again.
Yeah, but you're supposed to not do Simon's one. I said spin it again.
Spin it again and
not do that. I didn't even give him his next one. I was just like, what?
I had to. I spun the wheel. That's how it works. So we'll be doing this one next.
Good stuff.
GLA
this is Justice League versus Avengers. Yeah. 4 issues, I believe it is. Really interesting story. Worth checking out. Look forward to doing that one.
Is this next not this? That's next Tuesday, is it? Not 2 weeks.
That's to be announced because work out what everybody's doing.
Thursday night on my channel, we've got This Is My with reviews with Rich. Really looking forward to doing that. Rich is a cracking guy who does a lot of movie-related content, collects action figures, and he's a wealth of information, particularly about movies and movie franchises. So really looking forward to doing that with him. I will probably be doing a toy show. I'm not sure when this week. I'll do my Saturday Night Live this week, and we'll be doing comic reviews on Sunday. So lots going on this channel. And that is your whack. That's everything for tonight. So, chaps, massive thank you. You've been superb as usual. Always enjoy spending time with you. Interesting to learn more about the titles. Huge thank you to everybody that's been in the chat. We had 20-odd people at one point, so thank you so much. Got 15 people watching still, which is amazing. Please do hit that like and subscribe button and check out everybody's channels. And with that, we'll call it a night. Thanks very much, everybody, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Cowabunga.
Oof.